One of the real greats of modified racing, Richie Evans, won 12 events in his final season before he passed away. The great Richie Evans is long remembered as one of the best in modified racing, but we may be about to see another one of the greats. His name is Mike Stefanik. He has 8 wins in 1997, and folks, there are 4 races remaining. Hello everyone and welcome to Stafford Motor Speedway. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Larry Rice. Larry, the question is, can Stefanik do it?
Well, he certainly has a great chance. He's won 3 races here at Stafford Motor Speedway already. If he wins today, he'll be the first guy ever to win 4 and to sweep the series. Now, he also leads the point standings. If he wins the point standings in this division, he will be the first man ever to win 3 titles in the modified division. He also leads the point standings in the Busch North. If he wins that, he'll be the first man ever to win 2 traveling NASCAR series in the same year. Unbelievable. This guy's had a great year.
A great year for Mike Stefanik. Can he win both championships? Well, we'll find out. You know, this guy Stefanik really drives a race car for a living. But for his hobby, he takes the checkered flag. In 1997, he racked up a string of 5 consecutive victories, tying the late Richie Evans. What a season for Stefanik. And not only is he good in the modifieds, but he's good in the Busch North Tour. He's got a 61-point lead over Jerry Marquis. Can he win them both? We'll find out.
Well, guys, tire management is going to play a key role in today's race, and we're going to talk a lot about that before this day is over. And the guy that everybody without question says keep an eye on as far as being able to manage his tires best is the guy you've been talking about, Mike Stefanik. Mike, listen, how critical is this going to be throughout this 300 laps?
It's going to be everything. The first 250 laps is like a chess game. These tires are good these are about 50-lap race tires, actually, just because of the tire water, very soft compounds. Everybody has to keep their composure, keep their tires under their car, and kind of trickle them on and save 4 for hopefully 50 or left in the race to go. And that's who's probably going to end up in victory lane.
You know, you guys were talking, we're going to move on up to Rick Fuller. Good luck, Rick, or Mike. We're going to move up to Rick Fuller, who is the man who is running in 3rd in the points, but he's going to run up front as far as the start, as he pulled the pill that gives him the #1 spot. And the thing you have to remember about Mike Stefanik, you talked about him having all those great wins and all those victories here, but remember last year in this race, he broke a spindle and did not do well here at all. But this guy, Rick Fuller, thinks, well, I still got time to catch the leader in the points, don't you?
Absolutely. You know, the Polar Beverage team, they haven't given up in this thing at all. This car's run great week in and week out. We've got the most completed lap record. You know, we race well here at Stafford, and you know, we can't necessarily win this championship, but he could sure still lose it, and I wouldn't mind being there to capitalize on it.
We've got 300 laps of racing, guys. There's still one more guy. We're going to go back and talk to Tim Connolly right after this. Go take it.
Well, we're going to take a look at the points here coming into tonight's race after 19 events. We've talked about Stefanik and what a great season he's had. But how about Tim Connolly? He's got 3 wins. That's got him in 2nd place. We just heard from Rick Fuller, only 266 back. Ewan Nitzko, Tommy Creveno, you got Lady back there. A lot of good cars in the top 10.
A lot of great cars in the point standings. Look at Ruggiero. That's how tough it is. He's in 10th.
Tim Connolly is 2nd, and he's with Marty.
Yeah, we had to move back to the 6th starting position. You weren't so lucky on the draw, but it's a long race. And this we've talked a little bit about pacing, and everybody says lap number 250 is the key. What about in your mind?
Same thing, Marty. You know, I would have preferred not to draw the front row. This way we don't have to set the pace. We don't have the pressure of doing that. We don't have to be the rabbit. Just take our time and show some patience. And like I said, 250 is a key number here.
And stay out of the pits.
That's right. Stay out of there. And I don't want to go there for quite a while. I told the guys I don't see them for quite a while here yet. So, yeah, we're going to work pretty hard here to stay out here on the track and not lose a lap, but save some tires for the end.
Hey, guys, I got to get out of here. They want to fire motors. By the way, this guy's going to be carrying one of our onboard cameras, going to be giving us one of those great views, and we're going to have fun riding along.
So they get ready to fire the engines here at Stafford Motor Speedway, and we'll have some racing coming your way from one of the great tracks in the Northeast. Start your engines coming up, and the race after this.
Let's go trackside.
Welcome back to Stafford Motor Speedway for the Car Quest 300. You know, folks, this is only the second time that these drivers have run this distance at Stafford. We were talking about tire management, and that's going to be a big factor, and they don't have a lot to go back on to know exactly what's going to happen today. You're looking at Tim Connolly. We just heard from him with Marty Reed. He's starting 6th today. The onboard camera sponsored by Purina, and boy, there's a great shot out the backside of that race car. We'll see a lot of action there from the Mystic Missile.
He wants to see nothing out the front and lots out the back.
I hear you. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race here at Stafford Motor Speedway. We heard from Rick Fuller. He's on the pole. 1993 Modified Tour champion, currently 3rd in the points, and alongside him the 16 of Chris Kopeck. He qualified 3rd fastest. That's his best ever on the tour. In row 2, it's Stefanik in car number 6. The championship is his to lose. And how about Jerry Marquis, winner of the Busch Grand National North race here back in June. Tony Hirschman, the 2-time champion, starts in row number 3 alongside of Tim Connolly. 3 Modified Tour wins this season. Reggie Ruggiero back in the winning saddle in 1997 in car number 44. He's got 8 Tour wins on this racetrack. And how about Carl Pasteryak? A great qualifying run for him. He was 2nd fast. That's his best ever on the tour.
Eddie Flimke is going to start inside of row number 5. He's done very well so far, a famous name in that family. Jamie Tomeno will be outside of row number 5. Row number 6 is going to be Charlie Pasteryak. He is the younger brother of Carl, who starts a little farther up. And Jack Bateman will start outside of him in row number 6. Inside will be Bill Woods. He's in his first full season on the tour. And then Jan Leedy. He's a Modified Tour winner here in April of 1996. Then Dave Bergman and Mike Iwanitzko will be starting in row number 8. Row number 9 will be Bert Marvin, Tim and Tom Baldwin. And outside in row number 10, Ted Christopher, who has done a great job. He's very popular at this racetrack.
Doug French in car number 98 and Carl Erickson make up row number 11. As we move back through the field, you see Tom Craveno and Dan Avery in car number 10. They've got provisional starting positions. And folks, this may look kind of funny with the provisionals in the middle of the field, but it's the way they qualify to get into this field. Some of the drivers, like Peter Madden and Tim Airy, had to get in through the qualifying race. Dunk Rudolph and Bob Park. Bob Park, the father of Steve.
That's what he's known as now for a long time. He was the Hot Dog Park, but now then he's the father of Steve.
Richard Clark and Bill Bolton back in row number 17. And as we move further back in through the field, you see where some of your favorite drivers will be starting today. We've got a great field of cars. 38 cars will start. You see S.J. Evanson just barely made it in that qualifying race. He and Wade Cole were the last cars to make it in through the Consi.
Yes, and this is going to be, there's 38 cars in this race. 38 race cars for 300 laps. That's a racetrack full of race cars. So not only is tire management going to be very important, but also the management of traffic. That's also going to be very important. Let's take a look at Stafford Motor Speedway. Turns 1 and 2 are banked at 9 degrees. Turns 3 and 4 are banked at 12 degrees. The front stretch is 550 feet. The back stretch is longer. It's 600 feet. Why is all this so different? Well, this was once a horse track, and they copied the horse track. They just made the racetrack exactly as the horse track was laid out, and it wasn't laid out symmetrical, so therefore it's not symmetrical today.
They said, let's put down some paving, and they put it right where it was. Well, the race analysis will show us that we're going 300 laps today. That works out to be 150 miles on this exactly half-a-mile racetrack. Now, they start the race on the tires they qualified with, and they'll get 8 additional tires. So pit strategy is going to be a big part of this, Larry.
It is going to be everything. You heard every driver that we talked to talking about tire wear. The fuel, they're going to be able to go 100, 125 laps on a fuel load, maybe even a little longer than that. But that's not going to be the key to the pit stops. The tires are going to be the key. Almost every driver that I talked to said, at 40 laps to 50 laps, we're going to have to take a look at our tires. We're going to have to find out how they're wearing. And then once we know what's happening then the rest of our strategy will be laid out. Until we know what happens at that 40 or 50 lap mark, we don't really know what we're going to do.
Well, I'll tell you, this race certainly is a strategy race. And as I said, only one time have they gone 300 laps. Let's go back down trackside with Marty Reed.
Let's take that storyline a little bit further as far as tires. Goodyear's 50 laps or less. That's the number for them. They say that up to 50 laps, they can't be beat. then between 50 and 70 laps, it doesn't matter if you've got Goodyears or Hoosiers, they seem to sort of even out. Now, this is according to the crews, not us. But if you go over 70 laps, everybody seems to be saying Hoosier is the tire to have. So we'll be keeping a track of those laps, and especially when you put that last set of tires on. Because if you've got over 70 laps, you may want to be on the Hoosiers. 50 or less, you may want to be on the Goodyears.
And the interesting thing there, Marty, is that only 8 of the drivers in this field have Hoosiers on, and 30 of them, Larry, have the Goodyears.
Yes, but Tony Hirschman, Reggie Ruggiero, Jan Leedy, and Ted Christopher are all guys with Hoosiers, and that's going to play a big part if this race goes green at the end of the race. Everybody wants to have fresh tires. Everybody here, if they could have their wishes, they'd want to see a yellow at lap 250 so they'd have good tires for the last 50, but that may not happen.
Well, you talked about Jan Leedy, and right there is his race car, the CarQuest sponsored in-car camera, and what a shot we have right there of just the kind of feel that these modified cars give you. Unbelievable racing action, very low to the ground, high energy racing at over 100 miles an hour down the front straightaway.
Yes, these cars are, of course, they're 350 cubic inch race cars, and they all mostly have Chevrolets. There's a few other makes, Pontiacs and so forth in here, but Chevrolet is the dominant factor in these race cars. These engines have a 12-to-1 compression ratio. They have to weigh 2,610 pounds. And they have to have only 56% of the weight on the left side. So there's a lot of regulations to make sure that equalizes these cars.
Well, you're looking there at the 44 car of Reggie Ruggiero. This is a driver who had a very long drought, was not in victory lane for a long time, but boy, he's been back in the saddle in 1997. And right beside him, Carl Pasteryak starting 8th. A great qualifying run for Carl, and he will be back there in 8th position. And let me tell you what, we saw him run very fast here yesterday, had a good qualifying run. We'll see if that can translate into the race.
Well, of course, Ruggiero almost won this race last year, and he had that little coming together with Bolin right at the end that cost him a chance to win this race. So I'm sure he's wanting to come back and have a little revenge here today.
So we've got 38 cars in the field. We see the white flag being given by Billy Ryder, who is the flagman for the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour. 300 racing laps here at Stafford Motor Speedway, and folks, we have a capacity crowd on hand. This place is packed to the gills for the big fall final. This is the very last show of 1997 here at Stafford. And look at this, a big crowd of people ready to go racing in the modified tour.
Well, the Arute family has to be happy, and this has become a happening up here in the Northeast. You know, this is the big show. This is the longest modified race of the year. Everybody wants to come and see how these guys do it here, and they have packed this place.
The Polar Beverages, number 21 of Rick Fuller, is on the front row. No, he did not win the pole, but after they did the inversion, that was his starting position. So on the outside will be Chris Kopeck. Mike Stefanik's to the inside of row number 2, and Jerry Marquis. We're ready for green flag racing. 300 laps coming your way. Here they come out of turn number 4. The Stafford Motor Speedway pace car is off the racetrack, and the green flag is out.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how hard these guys go. At first, looks like Fuller wants to take the lead as everybody makes it safely through turn 1, it looks like, which is, you know, you're going to see these guys taking it a little bit easy. It's a long, long race as we take, oh, this is Jan Leedy. We're on the outside of him, and as I talk about everybody taking it a little easy, he tries to blow by the outside of a couple of guys.
Unbelievable. Leedy gets stuck to the outside a little bit there as he ducks in behind number 5 of Charlie Pasteryak. Now, look at this great view. There is a big field of cars right behind Jan Leedy.
You can see bunches of race cars all the way behind him, and he's trying to battle his way up through this pack. Meanwhile, Fuller is leading the pack and has not pulled away from everybody. Everybody's just kind of sitting on his tail, kind of riding right now, it looks like, at least for the first 8 or 9 guys.
The first 13 cars are single file. Going down the back straightaway, they have started to sort it out a little bit, and the yellow flag is out right now as the number 50 car of Richard Clark has spun coming down the front straightaway.
Well, that's a tough way to start a 300-lap race. Rick Fuller leading this thing. Stefanik is fallen into second place, just kind of following, and Kopeck has fallen into third spot and kind of riding there. Nobody's really put much of a challenge on so far, but the 50 car there, doesn't look like it can get restarted, so Clark is going to have some help.
Second lap of the race, and we're under caution, so the drivers really may have not even gotten the tires warmed up yet. We'll come back with more racing from the modified tour right here at Stafford Motor Speedway. CarQuest 300 at Stafford Motor Speedway. We are under caution after only 2 laps, and here's why.
Look at the upper right-hand portion of your screen. You can see back there's a little bit of contact between 2 or 3 different drivers. Obviously, Clark came out on the short end of the stick, and with that contact, it must have done something to the front end because they had to haul him off of here with a wrecker, and that's a tough break. You can see that right front tire is badly not in line.
Well, you're right, Larry. What a tough way to start the race.
Boy, it's a terrible, terrible way to start this race, and you can see they're in there working on that car right now, trying to get everything straightened out, but the yellow flag laps will count during this race, so he's going to be down. They will start them 2 abreast on this restart, so the first, I think, 200 laps, they will be double file in the order they're running.
So the field is back lined up 2 by 2. Now Chris Kopeck started on the outside of row number 1, but got shuffled back to the inside of row number 2. There you see the number 16 car, the Diversified Metals Chevrolet. So Kopeck losing a position. Rick Fuller in number 21 still got that front spot, and I'm sure he's happy about that.
Yes, but that may work to his advantage. It may help him get under Stefanik getting into turn 1 and help him get back up into second spot. I don't think anybody in this front group really are worried too much about running first or second. What they don't want to do is go down the outside and race somebody really hard right now and wear their tires out. That's the big thing they're worried about.
1 caution down and back to green flag racing. Under the gas real well is Rick Fuller in the 21. Polar Beverages car, he comes down through in a lot of 2 by 2 still going on as Jan Leedy, you see the 25 car there stuck on the outside. Here's a good shot of his CarQuest in-car camera.
Yes, and he is working that outside. He's working right at the back of Charlie Pastrick. You can see when you look on the inside, he's got plenty of traffic on the inside of it.
Unbelievable, Larry, just how much speed these cars carry into the turns here at Stafford.
Yes, it is. This is a very, very fast racetrack, and even though it has not been paved in a long, long time, and a lot of the we got some contact up in turn 3. You can see in the back of the camera, we got a couple of cars that are spinning up there. Everybody else running down through the infield, trying to miss them. You can see from the in-car camera, though, that, man, these guys were making a little contact. Trying to get straightened out, and still didn't get going. That's Bert Marvin in the 07 car that has gotten back underway, but he did about a half spin. The other car involved up there was Mike Iwanitsko.
So Iwanitsko has a flat left rear tire, so now he'll have to come into the pits, and he'll have to take on a tire very early in this race. You're looking at the 2 car right there. That is Ken Berry, and he's making his very first start today here in the Modified Tour. Of course, he's a regular here at Stafford Motor Speedway. See what happened on this second caution of the day here.
But it looks like they're just heading down in there. You can see that, the 5 car moved out just a little bit. That's Charlie Pasternak. When he moved out, he clipped the numbers 8 car. Once he hit the 8 car, Mike Iwanitsko, then everybody behind him got on the brakes, and unfortunately, let's just take another look. Well, you didn't see it right there, but those 2 cars hit. The 8 car of Iwanitsko got hit. He started spinning, and the 07 car, Bert Marvin, just spun, trying to miss all the action up in front of him.
Take a look at it right here, Larry, from our in-car camera sponsored by CarQuest on Jan Leedy's view. Boy, oh boy, a lot of action in a hurry right here.
They're going down the back straightaway. Right there you see the hit. I don't think it was so much the fact that the 5 car of Charlie Pastrick moved up, but the 8 car of Iwanitsko just kind of misjudged a little bit getting over. Just looked like he ran over his right rear, and that's what spun him.
So with a flat tire now, Mike Iwanitsko is going to have to make his way into the pit area before we go back to green, but his goal is to move all the way up and catch the leaders right behind the pace car so that he doesn't lose a lap when he goes into the pits.
Well, that's what he's obviously trying to do. We've already got 2 or 3 cars in the pit area, but the problem is while he's running around there on that flat tire, all that rubber starts flopping around underneath the bodywork. It could knock off brake lines and an assortment of other things, so that's the chance that he takes by staying out there on that flat. Obviously, he's already ruined the wheel. He's not too worried about that at this point.
Well, this time by, I would imagine he should be able to go to the pit area, get that tire changed, and hopefully get back out onto the racetrack before the field comes around. So Iwanitsko trying to stay on the lead lap desperately in car number 8.
Yeah, he's right behind the front pace car. He's now pulled in there. He's going to head for the pit area. And you can see he's trying to get in there, get this changed. These guys have spring-loaded nuts on their wheels, much like not Winston Cup cars. They glue theirs on, but they have spring-loaded nuts on there, so they can do these pit stops fairly quickly if there's no damage. Marty, take us to this.
Yeah, Mike Iwanicko, he's had a tough couple of days. He was down at the Martinsville event just a few days ago trying to qualify for the Craftsman Truck Series race down there. He was one of 17 unfortunate ones to go home. He's got a couple of Busch teams that have been looking at him this year. Oh, one of the lug nuts just came off. As far as being ready to go, there gets a little assist. You talk about being good crew work. They got him back out underway, getting in gear, Mike.
Wow. So if Mike Iwanicko can get his car running, they'll be doing good because the pit stop went very quickly. Well, we're going to come back hopefully with Green Flag Racing. Rick Fuller is the leader of the CarQuest 300. Green Flag Racing, we expect to see the green this time by, and yes, the pace car has come off of the racetrack. So once again, Rick Fuller will lead him down, and he gets a big jump on the field this time as the green comes back out from Billy Ryder.
On the last start, the first 4 or 5 guys just fell into single file. Looks like that is going to happen again this time, as the 3 car, Tony Hirschman, looked like he might have wanted to challenge a little bit there, but Stefanik, he just dropped right in behind. He didn't even challenge him for that win. He knows that, you know, his strategy, he told us earlier, is going to be to run those last 50 laps fast. The first 50, he's just got to keep his eyes on the leaders.
You know, Larry, we talked a lot about qualifying. When we look down through the first top 10 cars in this race, there's only 2 of those drivers that don't have a victory in this tour. Unbelievably, Kopeck and Carl Pastriak, both of them with excellent qualifying runs. We'll see if they're able to hold on to the late stages of today's race.
Yes, you know, this is a very, very tough series. And here you see there's a lot of guys back here a little bit farther that are banging around a little bit. There's Ruggiero. He's on the inside of Lee there, trying to get move up just a little bit.
Reggie Ruggiero in car number 44, back to the winner's circle in 1997 after a long, long time. I believe it was clear back in 1984 when he had his last win before he got to victory lane earlier this year at Riverside back in July, and then he won at Loudon, New Hampshire. 37 career wins for that guy, Larry. What an unbelievable career.
It certainly is. And that's Jamie Tomeno that he was going by. That's leading right behind him. And Tomeno just pulled in right behind him. He's just following him around. All of these guys just running single file right now, not really making a lot of moves, trying to gain too many spots right now. And I think that's the plan on most of their parts, as long as they're in the hunt. But the guys that are back in, let's say 15th on back, they can't take that strategy. They've got to charge a little harder. You can see the guys in the back running double file.
Well, we talked right at the top of the show about what an unbelievable race it was last year as Tiger Tom Baldwin clawed his way to the win here in the very first 300-lap CarQuest race. Right there is Tom Baldwin in car number 7. He's having a pretty good run today.
Well, he's now in 15th. He started back in 18th, so he's moved up 3 or 4 spots, and he's going to try to keep banging away at those guys and getting around them. But yeah, that's a tough thing. He was, of course, trying to qualify that truck series. He only missed it by 1 spot down there. That was a very, very tough series. Tough to make the race. He was quite proud that he only missed it by 1 spot, quite actually.
Well, that's a pretty tough division in itself, as well as how tough it is just to make it in the race here for the Featherlight Modified Tour.
Again, we're on board with Leedy, and you're looking out the back of his, front of his race car towards the back, and you can see there's a whole bunch of race cars that he is in front of. He is in that lead pack and trying just to hang on to them for right now. Look at Ruggiero, though. He's clear down on the inside. He got 2 cars all at one time. He went by the 5 car, Charlie Pastriak, and then he went on by the 75 car, Carly Pastriak, all at the same time. So he got both of them. Now he really looks like he's the guy that's on the move and willing to take some chances to pass.
Well, Larry, we talked about this tire management thing, and we figured a lot of the guys would just stay in position for the first 100 laps. Ruggiero must not have heard that story.
Well, you know, there's the 35 car. That's Ivanchin, and he is way off the pace, clear down on the inside. Tough break for him, as it looks like he's going to be heading for the pit area.
SJ made it into this race in the very last lap of the consolation race. So tough break for him, although he made the field, having trouble early on today.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody forgot to tell Ruggiero that this was not, that you weren't supposed to race the first 50 laps. You're supposed to take it easy, because he is out there and he is on the throttle. That's Tim Connolly that he's working on right now.
That's the 4 car of Tim Connolly. And look at the action as they get so close here, right up to the back bumper of Connolly. That's the number 75 car. Ruggiero has actually already made his way around.
Yeah, boy, these guys, they don't put those great big bumpers on the front of those things for no reason. They make some contact once in a while, but that's not the idea of this sport. You're not supposed to run into people, but you put those big bumpers on there in case there is. You help protect the race car. And, you know, once in a while you do have to use them.
A great shot from our Tidy Cat in-car right there as he looks back on the 75 of Carl Pasteryak from Lisbon, Connecticut. And now Connolly starts to stretch it out a little bit. Right in front of him is Ruggiero in the 44, and he's going to work on the inside as he goes down the back straightaway, trying to make another move.
Well, he's working really hard trying to gain those spots, but so far he has not been able to get around the 11 car of Eddie Flemke. He's working on him, just hasn't been able to pull it off yet. He was way on the inside of him. Flemke just held his ground.
The best run of 1997 for Eddie Flemke was a 4th at Holland, and that's hard to believe because Eddie Flemke, one of the greats in this division, 3 career wins for Flemke, hasn't really had it on track in 1997 like they would like to, but he's hoping to get it back in gear today here at Stafford. Ruggiero is really working him over, though.
Well, Ruggiero got a terrible start. You just saw on our graphic that he started in 7th. He's now running a 7th. But he got clear back to around 12th to 13th spot there on the start. He just did not get going very well on the start. He's had to work his way up. He's passed 4 or 5 cars, and he's right now just back to where he started.
Pretty funny to see those two running together on the racetrack, Larry, because the drivers of the 11 and the 44 are business partners. They own Raceworks chassis, and they build chassis for these kind of race cars, and now they're racing each other on the track. Let's go down trackside to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, you were talking about Reggie Ruggiero, and I just went to the crew. I said, hey, he's passing a lot of people. Is he burning up the tires? He says, no. He says he's cruising. Oh, we got crashed on the front straightaway.
Big trouble down the front stretch here as 4 or 5 cars are involved.
Wow, that's there was some heavy contact. This looks like Dan Avery in the 10 car is one of those cars that sitting there badly damaged. There's the 19 car, Bob Park. Doesn't look like he had a whole lot of damage as he backed away from that accident. Of course, his son be happy to hear that he's able to back away and keep on going. But Avery in that 10 car took some heavy hit, and it looks like he's going to go out there and say hello to somebody.
Yes, he most certainly is. Looks like there was 5 cars involved in that crash right there, but it appears that all the drivers may be okay.
Yeah, and you can see right there that Avery is standing by, and he's going to give a little wave to whoever he thinks started that accident. But he's really not very happy. His car is pretty badly damaged right now.
The track crew getting there to Dan Avery, and now we're going to take a look at it from our speed shot camera, which is on the front straightaway.
Oh, wow, you can see he almost banged right into the camera as he came up there. First 2 or 3 cars that got involved. Some of these guys in the back were just getting on the brakes. They just did slow spins and kept on going. But it looked like that 10 car, by the time we saw him, he may have gotten a nudge before, but by the time our camera picked him up, he was already sideways. Tough break for Avery.
So 5 cars involved in our 3rd caution here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Dan Avery is okay, but his car most certainly is not. We'll be back with more racing in the CarQuest 300 after this.
Down here with a very disappointed Dan Avery. Dan, take us through what happened, because you obviously were upset with, I think it was Airy.
Well, it's typical short track racing, and we had a long way to go. I mean, here we are, not even on, I think, around lap 30, and passing a 00. I had him on the outside there, and he just squeezed me right out into the wall. I had to check up coming out of the turn there. Otherwise, well, the obvious outcome was there, and now we got a wrecked race car. Nothing we can do about it.
Dan Avery's out of this one, guys.
That was a tough break as you take a look there at Avery, the 00 of Tim Airy. He was the guy that Avery is blaming for a lot of that. So let's take a look and see if we can see the contact between those two. Wow, you can see lots of action there. As they must have come together just prior to that, because he was already sideways when we had a look at him. Besides Avery, Bob Park was in that, Frank Vigliarulo was in it, Steve Channing was involved, Peter Madden, Dunk Rudolph, and Mike Iwanitzko were all involved in that. I think Steve Channing in the 28 car that we're taking a look at it, he's the other major damage in that race.
Lots of damage to the number 28 car, so a couple of cars going to be out of the race early on here. Rick Fuller is the leader, then it's Stefanik, Kopeck, Jerry Marquis, and Tony Hirschman. That's your top 5. Ruggiero, Flemke, Connolly, Pasteryak, brothers round out the top 10.
Jerry Marquis.
Well, we're under the third caution of the CarQuest 300. A major pileup on the front stretch has taken at least 5 cars to the pit area. Some of those cars hopefully will return to the race. As we're looking on board a Tim Connolly's Tidy Cat car, he is right behind the Golf number 44 of Reggie Ruggiero, and they are about to go back to green flag racing, coming out of turn number 3 into turn 4 and under green once again.
Well, from the in-car camera, let's take a look at what all the top runners do. How do they handle this restart? Well, you can see that most of them try to go. No, this is the most double file that we've seen. Ruggiero stays on the outside. Right in front of him is car on the outside. And as well, Connolly stays on the outside, so nobody dropping. Oh, look how close they are. Ruggiero almost touched wheels with the 11 car of Eddie Flemke. And finally, he just drops down to the inside.
On board with Tim Connolly as he is stuck to the outside, and look at the concentration on the eyes of that driver. Boy, every second that you're behind the wheel here, you have got to be focused on what you're doing. Connolly started in 6th, has lost a couple of positions on the racetrack at this point. Yeah, when he's stuck on the outside, that's a bad deal for him because it's hard to get back down to the bottom. You don't want to run out there because it's harder on the tires. Not that you can't run out there and run fast, but it's a little bit harder on the tires. Watch his hands. The less you move your hands, the less tire wear you're getting, the better your race car's handling. Looks like that race car's, look at this. He just holds her steady all the way through that corner. That's great. That should get him better tire wear. Well, he split right between the Pasteryak brothers, and back up front now we see Stefanik has not given any pressure to Rick Fuller in the number 21. And we talked about tire management at the top of the show. That may be coming into play at this point of the race. Many of these drivers say we just need to cruise around, stay on the lead lap, and be ready to race. Now, there is a good run for the 0 car of Ed Kennedy. He's making a move.
He started in 26th. He's up to 15th. He's one of the guys who are on Hoosier tires. Ruggiero's another one that's on Hoosier tires. Tony Hirschman, another one. Ted Christopher. So not very many guys on him, but so far it looks like the guys on the Hoosiers are much braver. They're much more willing to get out there, pass on the outside, run a little harder than some of the guys on the Goodyears who are not quite sure how long their tires are going to last.
Well, I'll tell you, Larry, I thought you and I got a lot of frequent flyer miles because we go to so many races. But how about Ed Kennedy? This guy lives in Coppell, Texas, and he flies each and every week out here to the Northeast to go modified racing. He just loves it that much.
Well, that'd be a lot of miles. There's no question about that. Meanwhile, these guys, look at Ruggiero. He's on the outside of Flemke again. He's been trying to get around him for the last probably 10 laps. We're 44 laps into this race at this point. Ruggiero doesn't seem to be happy to be running back there in about 8th place. 6th place, I guess it is.
75 car of Carl Pasteryak right there, and onto the outside of Eddie Flemke. That was Reggie Ruggiero taking a look, but I don't think that's the fast way through the center of the corner.
Well, you can see that the tire wear is beginning to be just a little bit of a problem. If you take a look at a couple of these cars, they're starting to run just a little higher. They're starting to diamond the corners just a little bit. They're running in right. See how they're running down below the line now? They're running in it because the cars aren't handling quite as well. So they run in below the line, then they diamond up in the middle, and then back off on the bottom of the racetrack. Ruggiero seems to be one of the guys who right now doesn't have to do that. He's running a pretty good line without running off down and below that inside apron.
You see here as you look from the in-car camera view, as down to the inside goes Connolly, and he makes a little bit of contact there with Pasteryak. An unbelievably daring move, but look at the racetrack here, folks. Look down at the facility here. This racetrack, believe it or not, is 30 years old as far as the pavement goes. That's unbelievable. They get a lot of winter up here in Connecticut too, and they've never had to repave this joint.
Well, that's right, and they are thinking about repaving it. Might happen after this race, might happen before winter sets in. They're a little bit afraid to, though, because this racetrack, even though it's a little bit slick, it's a little bit rough, it's such a racy surface. They don't want to destroy the raciness of this racetrack by coming in and repaving it and making it a one-lane track. I know that's got to be a concern, but right now, this racetrack very, very competitive. You can run on the outside. We're not seeing much of it yet, but we will later because nobody wants to use their tires up right now.
Well, one car into the pit area there. I believe that is the 38 of Dunk Rudolph, so he's having some trouble sitting in the pit area. And you're right, Larry, the competition index here is unbelievable. Now, the cars are single file right now, but later in this race, I guarantee you we'll see a lot of double wide racing.
Well, there's already been a lot of double wide racing, but right now everybody's kind of settling in. They're getting up. This is 50 laps. This is coming up on the 50th lap. So everybody is a little bit concerned about the tires, the tire wear, what's going to happen. I can guarantee you that everybody in front of this race would like to see a yellow flag pretty quickly. And if they don't get one, we're going to find out whether there is a difference in the tire manufacturers. A lot of the people on Goodyear said, man, 50 laps is about all these tires will run, and they start slowing up a little bit. And the Hoosiers, they'll last a little bit longer. So we're going to find out right now. If we don't see Ruggiero start going by guys pretty quickly, then we're going to know that the Goodyears are a little bit better than maybe some of the guys thought they were.
Well, I'll tell you, the number 44 car of Ruggiero has been very, very strong. We'll be back with more racing from the Stafford Motor Speedway in the CarQuest 300 after these messages.
Just now he's decided, well, I might as well make my move. He went to the outside. He went right by Hirschman. Now that he's going by Kopeck, I mean, he's done this in about a lap and a half. He seems to really have that race car of his working well. Remember, we said that the Goodyear guys all told us earlier that 50 laps is about all you can expect these tires to run. Well, those first 4 cars are all on Goodyears, and they're still running pretty darn fast.
The leader is the number 21, Rick Fuller. He has led every lap up to this point. Stefanik's in second, but now a battle for third as Flemke goes to the outside. Moved up 5 positions at this point as he is going around Kopeck, and he is going to take that spot coming down the front straightaway.
There's Jamie Tomeno. He's already been in the pits once. He's got something very badly wrong with that race car, and I don't know what it is, but he's running real slow on the racetrack. He's made a couple of pit stops, so his day is just about over. As we go back with in the 4 car, that's Tim Connolly, and we're following Reggie Ruggiero. Ruggiero has not made the move for the front like he acted like he wanted to real early in the race. He's just been kind of riding there for the last 15 or 20 laps.
Well, you see Flemke right there in the number 11 car. Well, he is currently 12th in points, and Jamie Tomeno is 13th. And boy, that's going to be a tough break for Tomeno if he stays in the pits like that right now. He's lost a couple of laps on the racetrack already.
And we just had a look at the 7 car. Baldwin, of course, he won this race last year in a bit of a controversy, and he's been moving up slowly but surely in this field, and he's going to try to work his way up there so that for the last 100 laps he's in contention to win this race.
Give you an update real quick on the number 14 car of Ted Christopher from Plainville, Connecticut. His car is behind the wall, and they are continuing to work on that number 14. So a bad day for Ted Christopher already.
Yeah, it's a tough break for him. He was running very, very well, and when whatever went wrong, and went away in a hurry, and he just pulled in. And you can see right now that Rick Fuller has pulled out into what is probably the biggest lead of the race, because he's got about 3 car lengths lead on Stefanik. Stefanik doesn't seem to be able to keep up with him. That's kind of surprising, because Stefanik has been the class of the field here. And look at this, Flemke on the outside of Stefanik doesn't make it stick, but boy, is he running fast.
To the outside goes Eddie Flemke. He's going to make the move on Stefanik. Right in the center of the turn, he goes to the high side. Wheel to wheel off turn 4 and gives second place to Eddie Flemke.
Wow, that was a very, very nice move. He's passed 3 cars in a row. Those 3 cars right behind him, he did it all the same way. He drives it down into the corner on the outside of him. He doesn't usually make it in the first corner, but coming off the corner the first time, he gets up alongside him and just drives it past him going into the next corner. He has really got that move down very, very well as he passed all 3 of those guys exactly the same way.
Started 9th and has moved up to 2nd, so Eddie Flemke with a good run, but you're right now, that differential between 1st and 2nd starting to spread out, and I've got to wonder, what is Stefanik's plan right at this point? Is he saying, let's see what these tires are going to do at 100 laps, or has he just not got the car to run with them?
Well, everybody's beginning to feel the problem. You can watch these cars, you can see everybody's changed their groove. Some of them running a lot higher, some of them running a lot lower. Guys wiggling around a lot. These tires are really getting worn. These guys all want to see a yellow right now. We're on lap 94. That's about where everybody thought they'd want to make their first pit stop, and they don't want to have to come in because of themselves causing a yellow, but they sure would like to see somebody else cause a yellow.
Out front of Tim Conley's car, you see Old Blue. That's the number 3 of Tony Hirschman. That car owned by Len Bowler, and he has won the last 3 consecutive national championships in this division. Len Bowler, one of the longtime names in this division, but 1997 has not been a really great year for Hirschman. He's won the last 2 titles in a row, but this year, kind of struggling a little bit. Right now, he's 8th in the points.
Yeah, he's not had as good a year as he's had in the past. He's still plenty competitive, and he's plenty competitive in this race here today. But right now, watch these cars that go through the corners. Now remember, Hirschman is on Hoosier, so he's got a different compound than everybody else. He seems to not be having as much trouble, but he is drifting up in the middle of the corners. I think almost everybody right now slipping and sliding a little bit as they run real deep into the corners on the outside of lap traffic. Then they slide up in the middle of the corner and try to gather it up and come off down on the bottom.
Well, Hirschman's car is working pretty good, but Stefanik's car is starting to lose the pace. What's the deal, Marty?
Well, you're right, guys. He does have a tire problem. It's the left front. He's got a vibration in. They think there may be a little bit of a blister. They're not quite sure. They are praying for a yellow.
Right now, Rick Fuller is praying for those lap cars to get out of his way as they're really holding him up there in the front of the pack. And meanwhile, Klimke having a little bit of trouble himself getting around the lap traffic. But Stefanik is really slowed up noticeably on the racetrack.
Next time by the flag man, we will see lap 100. And out front for the entire 100 laps, it's been the number 21 of Rick Fuller. But you see that the flagman, Billy Ryder, is very busy telling everybody, move over for the leaders, because now, Larry, we get into some serious lap traffic. And this is where we're going to see the best cars and see how well they can run after 100 laps on these tires.
Well, we said that tire management and traffic management were going to be the two main components of winning this race. So far, Rick Fuller has done both to perfection. His tires seem to be as good as anybody's or better than anybody's on the racetracks. He's still pulling away, and he's having no trouble going to the outside and passing the lap traffic. Eddie Klimke was the other guy who has had very good luck. You can see how high he's running right there. Right there, I'm sure he doesn't want to be that far off the pole, but he just drifted up there as that race car is getting looser and looser. See how low he's getting? Way down the bottom, then way up high. That race car is not handling real well.
Well, I can tell you some names from racing. How about Brent Bodine and Mike McLaughlin? Those are drivers that have been in the 21 car. Rick Fuller's in it now, and he's in the lead. Back with more of the CarQuest 300 after this. Welcome back to Stafford Motor Speedway. Trouble on the racetrack.
Wow, that's the 71 car of Carl Erickson, who has had a little run-in with the 33 car of Wade Cole. Erickson heading for the pit area. You can see heavy damage on the front end of that car, but believe me, this is just in time. There's Wade Cole. He was the last car. He started dead last in this race, and he's had a little bit of trouble. He's been in the pits several times, and it looks like his day might be over as he's taking his helmet off, but he's had some contact.
Just as we were coming back from break, folks, we were looking at the car number 6 of Mike Stefanik, and his right front tire was blistered terribly. He started to slow on the racetrack, and then a miracle happened. There was a big caution on the racetrack. We're under yellow, and I'll guarantee you we're going to see Stefanik in the pits.
Yes, it's a left front tire, actually, instead of the right front tire. Usually you think the right front is the one that's going to wear out, but it's the left front tire on his car. If we take a look at it right there, can't see it now, but boy, when he was under speed, you could see the rubber actually flying off of that thing. So he definitely, as soon as they open the pit area, he's going to be heading in there.
The Burnham Boiler sponsored number 6 of Mike Stefanik was slowing on the racetrack, and I believe he may have come into the pits anyway, even if there wasn't a caution, but there was, and that's a break of racing. So will all the leaders come in? We'll find out next time by when they open up the pits.
Well, sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. That's what everybody says. And there you can see a little bit better. That left front is in bad, bad shape. And right there, he was extremely fortunate because he had lost about 3 or 4 spots in the last 2 laps. There you can see those real dark marks on the front of that tire? Those are the blisters on the tire. And he was hoping. It was actually causing a very bad vibration. That's the vibration he was talking about. It's just from that blistered tire.
So back to 7th place goes Stefanik, and the pit road is closed at this point, so we won't see him into the pit road. Well, now we will, because they have just opened the pit road. So with that green flag, that will give us the indication that the drivers can go to the pits. Now our leader is Rick Fuller in the number 21. Does he need to pit?
Well, I would think almost everybody would be heading for pit road because, number one, they want to get an idea of what their tires are doing. They know that they're wearing maybe not as well as they'd want, but they all got to come down. Let's go to Marty with these pit stops.
All right, we're waiting down here, and this is when these guys really earn their money because they want to get these guys back out on the track. And you're right, they definitely want to take a look at these tires. We're sort of positioned in between Rick Fuller, and then we've got another camera right down about 3 pits from there with Stefanik. So Fuller is the first in. Looking at his tires, not nearly as bad as Stefanik's problem. Boy, we're looking all around, but he has picked up so much garbage off of the racetrack. It's hard to see just how bad that left front really is, but it's definitely been chewed up pretty good. Fuller has already made his tire change, and he is back out underway. So it looks to me like Fuller only took inside tires that time, or outside tires, I should say, and then he is going back out. Now, Stefanik obviously taking all 4, getting a full load of fuel, and then he'll be back out on track, and he's going to have to work his way back through this field because he is well back in the pack.
Well, it was, everybody has a little bit a different strategy. You know, I'm not sure who took what kind of tires, but you can see from the white mark on that left rear of Fuller's, he did take at least a left rear. I don't think he took a left front, though. His race car must be set up a lot differently than Stefanik's, because I think he took on 2 rears, and I can't tell whether he took on the right front or not. Maybe you can find that out for us, Marty, but it doesn't appear that he put on a left front at anyway. There you can see the stickers on Stefanik's cars. He's got the stickers on 3. It looks like he might have put a used tire on the left front. The other 3 you can see the stickers on now.
So the first round of pit stops has happened here at Stafford Motor Speedway. How about Tim Connolly? He came in running 7th, went out in 2nd. More racing in the CarQuest 300 when we return to Stafford. 127-year history back in 1870 as a horse track. Back then there was trotters and pacers up till the end of World War II. Then the horses returned, only this time it was in the form of iron and steel. Over the years, the fans in Stafford have seen many forms of competition, but the one thing that's been the heart of the action, that's modifieds.
I believe with all my heart, and I've always felt that the modifieds are probably the most exciting race that there is. In fact, Bill France Jr. one day, he was quoted as saying the most exciting race that there is a modified on a half-mile track, and he's right.
Many of the great drivers have graced this half mile at Stafford, including Dale Earnhardt, the great Richie Evans, the brothers Bodine, Greg Sachs, and Jimmy Spencer, and the newest sensation, Steve Park. Well, Steve Park, one of the newest drivers in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. You know, when we look at the history of this place, Larry, it's unbelievable. All the way back to 1870 when they opened this joint up.
Yes, it was an agricultural park then. They ran horses here at this track. Then in 1959, George Schnowski, he won his first NASCAR title here. 67, the racetrack was paved for the first time, has not been repaved since. And of course, the Root family, Jack Sr., bought that there.
Well, Marty Reed, let's get an update on what happened in that first round of pit stops.
Yeah, let's update you on Rick Fuller because these are the 2 rear tires. Their strategy will be they change the rears on the first stop, then they're going to change the right side the next time, and then go with 4 fresh tires at the end.
Interesting strategy. That way, as long as the race car is a little bit loose and does not have any push on it, that may work for him. Obviously, he's got that race car set up extremely well, and he's not working very hard on it. So that is going to be a good strategy for him. Interesting, though, that he put on 2 rears and no right front.
Well, one of the big losers in that round of pit stops had to be Eddie Flemke. He came in 2nd, went out in 7th, but again, sometimes guys are taking 2 tires, some are taking 4, and we don't know all the stories, but the big winner was the 21 car. He got in, got his tires changed, and look where he's at, right back at the front of the pack.
Yes, and of course, Ruggiero, he did a nice job in the pits as well because he's out now in 3rd place, and Tim Connolly, he's running in 2nd, so both those guys had great pit stops.
So Billy Ryder gives them 1 lap to go here. We will get back underway shortly. And again, the leader is Rick Fuller. Here's some of the races that are coming up for the Featherlight Modified Tour. October 5th, they're off to Flemington over in New Jersey. Then Thompson International Speedway. All these races in October. And then November 1st, you'll see the racing action on ESPN2 at Richmond International Raceway. One of my favorite racetracks in the country. They put on a great show there, Larry.
We certainly do. That's a terrific racetrack. I love that place as well. Taking a look here at the top 6 cars. Let's see what happens now with Ruggiero in the lead, running in 2nd and 3rd place.
Evidently, there was somewhat of a close call down on pit road for Eddie Flemke. There he is in the number 11. So it is a pretty tight area down there, and getting out of the pit road can be pretty tough. So he's lost a few spots on the racetrack, but we'll see if he can make them up. Back under green flag racing, the Polar Beverages number 21, Rick Fuller, is underway, and what a great jump.
Wow, he just acted like he was shot out of a gun. He took off. He's got 3 or 4 car lengths lead. And it looks like Connolly's having all kinds of trouble after that pit stop. He went from 2nd back to 4th in a big hurry. And Leedy right now, oh, look at Ruggiero. He's right on the back bumpers. We take a look out the back of Leedy's car.
Oh, boy, that's some close racing, isn't it?
Those guys are really running side by side. Look at that. Oh, he got a little love tap.
That's why they call that the chrome horn there. They use it from time to time here at Stafford. This is the kind of racing we see each and every time we go to a short track when the Featherlight Modifieds are in action. And they're certainly not letting us down tonight here at Stafford. As the sun starts to set here at Stafford Motor Speedway, the question is, will this racetrack change?
Yeah, well, I was wrong. That's out of the back of Tim Connolly's car that we were looking right there. Will the racetrack change? When the sun goes down, it'll change. Oh, look at Ruggiero. He is all over him right now. He's trying to get around. Ruggiero really working on him.
Well, Marty, Reggie Ruggiero's having a great run.
Guys, you were talking about tire strategy. Now Ruggiero put 2 right side tires on. So it's going to be interesting because remember, Fuller did not change any of his front tires. He may be having a little bit more difficulty turning in.
Well, that looks like you might be exactly right. Doesn't appear like he's getting in and through the corners quite as well as Ruggiero is with those 2 right side tires, as Ruggiero is just all over him in the middle of the corner. If you remember last year, Ruggiero ran really well. Look at him right through the middle of the corner. Very, very fast. He's trying to pinch it down under. Still not enough horsepower, not enough grip off of the corner to pull alongside of him getting off the corner.
So where is Mike Stefanik at, folks? Well, car number 6 is back in 6th position. But look at Rick Fuller. He's giving some signals to Reggie saying, try me on the outside, and I think Reggie's going to do it. He goes, takes a look outside in the Golf number 44, but he decides, no, I better get back in line.
Well, he did the same thing last year. He pointed to Baldwin to go on the outside of him. So he's telling, man, if you want to go around me, you're going to have to do it the hard way. I'm not going to let you go to the inside.
The 00 car of Tim Airy just off the pace a little bit, holding up a few cars back there. But now the battle tightens up in the front, and look at this. Here's a car coming into the frame right there. We haven't seen him up front much. That's Jan Leedy.
Leedy's been just hanging on back there right behind him. He's been doing a nice job this whole race, but this is the first time he's really gotten up there to challenge. And as soon as he gets up there, it looks like all of a sudden Fuller pulled away just a little bit, he and Ruggiero.
So a good battle for the lead here. First 100 laps of this race, we saw Mike Stefanik right on the bumper of Rick Fuller, but now it's Reggie Ruggiero in the number 44 car, and they are having a fabulous battle for first place. Reggie kind of trying a different line, going through 3 and 4 this time, but look how low Fuller's going. He's not giving him the inside line at all.
Well, Fuller knows darn good well that if he enters the corner that low, he's going in very, very low. He's drifting up a little bit in the middle of the racetrack and then getting off on the bottom. As long as he does that, Ruggiero has no choice but to go by on the outside. And now look at this, the battle for third is Charlie Pasterak. He's going around the outside of Connolly. That's the battle for fourth, excuse me. As he just went around Connolly. As we said, Connolly doesn't seem to be handling as well after this pit stop as he was before either. Oh, he got tagged just a little bit there, but Stefanik just touched him. Both of them got back under control.
That's all it takes here, Larry. At these kind of speeds, it's just a little bit of tap. You can really lose some track time and possibly positions just by one little bump like that.
There you're looking out the back of the Tidy Cat car, and you can see that Connolly, there's a lot of guys pulling up on him as it looked like the 36 car, Jerry Marquis, went by him as well.
Amazing where they can put stickers on these race cars, isn't it?
Stickers and cameras both, as a matter of fact.
Great in-car shots there as we are watching a great battle for the lead, and Reggie Ruggiero goes to the outside this time. He is working his way every which way but loose on Rick Fuller in the number 21.
Fuller's just running fast enough that Ruggiero can't get by him, and he wants that lead so bad. Fuller, meanwhile, knows as long as he runs the bottom, he's making Ruggiero use his tires up, and maybe that's his strategy. I don't really care if he leads, but I'm going to make him do it the hard way because he's going to have to use those tires up to go around.
Well, and I think the line that Ruggiero was taking earlier in the race showed us that his car does handle on the outside. And if he's able to push the 21 up there, well, maybe that could be the difference.
Well, Fuller's running the racetrack just bad or just the wrong way. See, he gets up there, then he drifts up about a half car width off the pole right in the middle. That just takes that outside groove away enough right in the middle. Uh-oh, looks like Ruggiero's on the inside. He says, nah, long way to go. I'm not going to do that.
Look how hard he got on the brakes that time as he looked to the inside, but he said, not this time by. So he stays in second place, but those two drivers having a field day at the front of the pack.
See, right there in the center of the corner, Ruggiero on the bottom, he's much faster than Fuller is. But when he has to go to the outside, he's just so far around up there, he just can't get up far enough to get around it. Get upside of him once, he'd have it made, but he can't do it.
A great battle for the lead. Reggie Ruggiero is all over the Polar Beverages number 21 of Rick Fuller. We've got a great battle going on in the CarQuest 300 at Stafford Motor Speedway, and we'll be back with more racing. And boy, I'll tell you what, look at every which way that Ruggiero tries to work him over.
He does, but look at Flimke's just using, or Flimke. The 21 car of Fuller is just using up the whole racetrack, trying to keep him back there. See, he's going in real low, just way up high in the middle, and then he's right back on the bottom coming off the corner. Rick Fuller doing everything he can do to keep Ruggiero back there. So far, Ruggiero hasn't found a way around him. Now, we did find out why Connolly is backed up so far in that 4 car. He only took on one right rear tire during that pit stop, and he's fallen clear back to about 10th place. So he's going to have a lot of tires left. Meanwhile, he's losing a lot of track position on the racetrack.
Well, speaking of track position, these two cars that are battling for the lead are going to be catching lap traffic in about 3 or 4 laps, and the decisions that they make when they hit that lap traffic will be crucial to what happens up here. We will keep our eye on that because there are about 8 or 9 cars, well, there's 5 anyway, coming up in a hurry for Fuller and Ruggiero.
Well, in theory, Rick Fuller should not be able to get through the traffic as well as Ruggiero. But in theory, I don't think Fuller probably should have led this race the whole race, and he's been able to do that so far. So you just don't know. He's had a terrific strategy. He's had a terrific run. He's got the race cars set up. But by only taking 2 rear tires, I do think that Marty was right in saying that he probably, the front end of that race car, doesn't want to steer quite as good as he wants it to right now.
2 wins in 1997 for Rick Fuller, but Larry, both of those came at Thompson, which is a very different racetrack.
Well, it's a very fast racetrack. It has a lot more grip, a lot more horsepower involved there. This place is a real finesse racetrack. He runs well here. He's always done very well here. But Thompson, much different kind of a racetrack because it's much faster.
Well, in 1997, Rick Fuller has run 3 races at this track. The first event of the season in the Spring Sizzler, he was 18th, but then he backed it up with a 4th place run and an 8th place. So 2 top 10 finishes this year, and I think he likes right where he's at the best.
Well, he's running a very nice race, a very heady race, a very smart race. He has run these last 25 laps with a car that I don't think is as quick as Ruggiero's, but he's running the racetrack so perfectly that Ruggiero just cannot find a way to get around it. He runs in right down below the line. Now that into this lap traffic, you might get, look right there, he just slipped a little bit. There goes Ruggiero, that's all it takes. One little mistake, but now that, look, he's going to use the lap traffic as a pick. He's going to get back by. Very smart on Rick Fuller. He didn't get flustered, he didn't do anything wrong. He just went back and used that lap traffic as a pick, and Ruggiero had no choice but to move back up behind him.
So the 71 car of Carl Erickson, who was involved in an earlier spin, the slow car down to the inside that makes for a good pick for Rick Fuller. And they also will fly by right now Dan Avery in car number 10. He was involved in that very first crash.
I'm surprised to see him back out there. That car looked like it had some terminal damage, but he is back on the racetrack. You got to give him a lot of credit. He is doing a terrific job. Rick Fuller, I mean, he has run that race car everywhere. He had every chance to just let Ruggiero go that last time around, but he wasn't going to do it. He got back in the throttle, got up there in that lap traffic, and made Ruggiero move back out to the outside.
So these two are battling for the lead and cutting their way through traffic. Jan Leedy currently runs in 3rd position, and then 4th place goes to Charlie Pasteryak. So a good run for those 2 drivers, although they're a pretty far distance now from these 2 leaders.
Yeah, these guys have pulled out into a pretty good lead over everybody else. Leedy hung on to him there for a while. But here's Leedy as we take a look back at him, and you can see that he's making his way through the lap traffic as well and making pretty quick work up. It looks like he's got a little bit of a bounce in that left front right now.
The CarQuest in-car for Jan Leedy in car number 25, working his way through that traffic. Will he be able to get back up and run with Fuller and with the 44 car? Well, we'll find out. And again, now we're talking about fresh tires on these racetracks, or on these cars, excuse me. And there's a big interval right now, but what will it be at lap 200, say, whenever they're ready for tires again?
Well, that's the big question. That's the important laps. You can see the lead, he has a big push in that race car. That's the reason he's falling back just a little bit. Now Ruggiero's up to the side of him. Now that this is the first time he's been at the side of him, getting into the corner. Oh, almost touched each other right there. Ruggiero had to move over just a little bit, but he still maintains that side-by-side. Now that this is the position he's been trying to get in all day, where he's side-by-side with him through the corner. Now that he forces him down just a little bit, when he forced him down, he just went on around. That was a great job. Ruggiero knew exactly what he had to do, and he absolutely forced Rick Fuller down to the bottom part of that racetrack coming off of 4 so he could take the position away.
Took the lead while they showed him the cross flags at exactly the halfway point. So the first 149 laps will go to Rick Fuller in the number 21 car, but now our leader is the 44.
Well, Reggie Ruggiero wants to be out front. You can see, right, he's feeling his oats. He's running that race car a little bit hard, and he is just pulling away now. He wants to get out front. He wants to get some track position. He wants to get some of these cars lapped, and boy, he is on a tear right now.
So Reggie Ruggiero has taken the lead in the number 44 car, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more racing in the Featherlight Modified Tour after this. He is putting some very good race cars a lap down.
Boy, he certainly is. That's Kopeck, who is running up near the front early in the race. Had a couple of bad pit stops and doesn't seem to be running nearly as well now. But boy, he has just been putting cars down left and right. That's the 51 car, Bill Woods, that he's working on right now. Woods is a rookie here at Stafford Motor Speedway, but he has been just outrunning everybody by a mile.
Yeah, he is very strong right now. And folks, he just passed the 0 car a lap before we came back from the break, and Ed Kennedy had started all the way back in 26 and worked his way up into the top 15 and now has gone down a lap. That's just the kind of pace that Reggie Ruggiero is setting here. Unbelievable.
Yes, we're just past the 170 mark, and he's just putting as many guys a lap down as he can. Let's go down to Marty and see if he can give us an update on the 7 car. Oh, we got a crash. Oh, hang on 1 second. The 71 car, that's Carl Erickson. He's been in 2 or 3 crashes already here today. That's the 16 car, I think, of Kopeck is the other car that got together down there. So tough break for those 2 guys, but a good break for some of those cars that were about to go a lap down.
And Kopeck had just gone a lap down, and I think that's why those guys were racing the way they were there. But look at all the mud he's picking up on the tires now. So when Kopeck goes back out on the racetrack, he's going to have some pretty dirty tires.
Well, yes, he's going to have all kinds of mud debris, and they're going to go down there and check, make sure that they didn't drag a lot of that stuff up on the racetrack. But that was a tough break for them. Reggie Ruggiero was knocking them off, and I'm sure he wanted to just keep putting guys a lap down one after the other, because the farther he gets ahead, the less guys he's got to contend with.
So the caution comes out on lap 171, and here's why.
Well, here we can see down in this corner, the 16 car Kopeck, it just looks like he spun all by himself. There wasn't anybody around him when he spun. Then, of course, the 71 car got involved, too, as he spun trying to miss it, or maybe he got on the brakes and somebody gave him a tap. That happens a lot in this kind of racing, but you can see pretty tight quarters down there. When everybody clams on the brakes, you get hit from the back, you're going to get turned around.
Well, the leader is on pit road. Reggie Ruggiero and the 21 car of Fuller have hit to do the pits, so let's go back down to Marty.
All right, Rick, we're stationed down towards Fuller and also Jan Leedy, because he was about to go a lap down. Ruggiero, they're making their stop. We're down here. Leedy, they're going to go right side. Now, remember, they told us that this time they would change the right side rubber. So he's still running on the original left front. We're also waiting. Here comes Connolly, and Connolly was just on the verge of being put a lap down. And that really would have created a problem, obviously, for him. And he just luckily got the yellow when he needed it. So they are changing right side rubber now. Remember, on his car before they had changed just the right rear. So they're trying to give him, and in fact, they're going to go over to the left side as well. He's going to lose a lot of track position, but at least he's not a lap down.
So you see the Tidy Cat car there getting some service, the number 4, and we have had a change up at the front, because during that set of pit stops, Rick Fuller actually got out ahead of the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero, and Ruggiero, as far as I can tell, Larry, only put on right rear and left rear.
Exactly. He did exactly the opposite of what Fuller did. Remember, Fuller took 2 rear tires the first stop. That time Fuller took 2 right side tires. Ruggiero took 2 right side tires on the first stop. That time he only took 2 rears. So they just did the opposite thing. So let's see if this time Fuller has a little bit better working race car than Ruggiero does.
So the lead lap cars have gone to the pits for their pit stops, and the next time by they will open up the pit area for the cars that are a lap down, and we'll be able to see how this field gets sorted back out here shortly.
There's Leedy, as you can see right there. He's the guy with our in-car camera.
So Jan Leedy saves himself from going a lap down. A good break for car number 25. Pit stops for the second time have taken place, and we'll be back to Stafford after this. Pit stops, and a lot of guys have taken on some different strategies. Now, coming down the front straightaway, as the green flag comes out, you see the car that is in front is actually on the tail end of the lead lap, and our leader is the 25 of Jan Leedy.
Yeah, Leedy did not make a pit stop that time around, so he, he's taking a big chance. I think he's counting on another yellow pretty quickly because he was running pretty good. You can see, though, he's got a big push. We saw from that in-car camera that he had a push even before the yellow came out, but evidently he thought the track position was more important than going in. The other car that didn't go in was the 36 car, Jerry Marquis. He stayed out there as well. So, it's going to be interesting to see whether their strategy pays off. And Tony Hirschman, I think he was in the other car. I think all 3 of those guys stayed out. Everybody else pitted on that last yellow.
So you're going to see Ruggiero with fresh tires. You're going to see the 21 car of Fuller with fresh tires. How quickly can they get back up through the pack? Well, let's check back in with Marty.
Well, Jan Leedy's team is looking at the same numbers that we are, guys. Remember, the black mark that everybody's looking for now to make their last tire change is around lap 250. Well, that means Ruggiero and all those guys that have come in now have to go from lap 180 to lap 250, and we've got another yellow.
Yes, you're right, Marty. The yellow flag has come out as Jan Leedy is our leader going down the back straightaway, and the number 87 car spun over in turn number 4, and that's Sal Michello.
Yeah, he looked like he just spun pretty much by himself, got sideways, but it did bring out the yellow flag. Now we'll see if any of those guys go in.
5 laps later?
No, I don't think so. I think they're probably going to stay out there. They've pretty much bet that they're going to go in. They may make 2 pit stops in the last, 100 laps, maybe they'll go to 225, make 1 pit stop, and then put on fresh tires if there's a yellow in the last 50 laps. So, interesting strategy that they're playing out right now.
I think this is very exciting, though, Larry, because when you see a NASCAR Winston Cup race, if Jeff Gordon's leading the race and he goes to the pits, everybody that's on the lead lap's got to go. Well, here, a lot of these guys are trying different things. Some go with right rear, some go with all rear, some go with right sides. And then, as we talked about, they want to have that full set for that last pit stop.
Well, that's the thing. And the only thing you cannot control is when the last yellow flag comes out. If you go to lap 225, 235, 245, and no yellow comes out, boy, you could be in big trouble, especially the guys on the Goodyears, because they think that their best chance is to have the last 50 laps. Marty, you got more to add to that?
Well, we didn't get quite to finish because of the yellow coming up, but that's Steve Leedy right there, Jan's brother, and I put it to him. I said, you're just flip-flopping the strategy because you know Ruggiero's got to stay. I said, yeah. He says, I'm counting on some extra yellows to keep the track position. We get to lap 250 also. We'll make the last stop, go for 4 fresh tires. Everybody looking for lap 250. Who's going to blink first?
Well, that's a good question. We'll find out here. They're not going to pit this time because they've already been given the indication of 1 to go. So we've seen the white flag. They'll go back to green this time as Jan Leedy in the number 25 car is the leader. The driver from Williamson, New York. He won the last race at New Hampshire International Speedway back in August. So he knows how to get to victory lane. 8 career wins in this series, and he's got a pretty strong car again tonight.
Well, and, obviously it's a strategy game. You can see, though, that Rick Fuller already back up to 3rd position as the front row car start on the inside this time. Leedy gets a great jump and takes the lead once again. But look back there in 3rd spot. That's Fuller. Right behind him is Ruggiero. They're running 3rd and 4th after making those pit stops, so they're headed for the front.
Back to racing at lap 184. The leader is Jan Leedy in the number 25 car. and he is being challenged down to the inside. So Leedy's car with some older tires. We'll see how long he's able to stay up front. Now here comes Fuller in that number 21 car. He is running right there in the 3rd spot on the racetrack, and Ruggiero right behind him. So 2 good cars with fresh tires on a tear towards the front.
Well, Marquis and Leedy, neither one made it to the pit stops. You can see that Rick Fuller just pulled up on the outside of Marquis and really made pretty quick work of Ruggiero, on the other hand, has elected just to stay down at the bottom and follow. Although I said he made quick work at him, but he hasn't gotten around him yet. Marquis hanging in there. Leedy obviously not wanting to give him that track position. You can see Leedy, he's moving up the racetrack just a little bit.
He slides sideways just a hair coming down the front straightaway, and I believe those fresh tires are going to be a factor for Rick Fuller, who is now going to go back in the lead in car number 21. Ruggiero takes the move going into turn number 3, and the Golf number 44 once again moves back to second, so Leedy loses 2 spots in 1 lap.
Yes, and he loses another one. As you can see, Marquis goes around the outside of him. He's going to lose another spot. Is that Stefanik who goes around on the outside of him too? And boy, oh boy, that's Flimke, and then Connolly. Everybody's going by.
It's a freight train going by Jan Leedy there. So maybe somewhat of a gamble on their tire strategy after he stayed out there. But Jerry Marquis also stayed on the racetrack, and he was able to pass fairly easily.
Right, he's still running in 3rd position, so he's you know, he's not obviously having near as much trouble. That's Tony Hirschman down on the inside now trying to get around. The front 2 guys, though, as they have most of the afternoon, have started pulling away from the pack, though.
So we've seen an awful lot of Rick Fuller up at the front of the race, and he is back there again in the Fuller Beverages number 21. But a good battle here as the Tidy Cat car of Connolly in the number 4 is down to the inside, and Flemke once again is going to make a battle for 5th spot.
Yeah, Connolly put on 4 tires in the last stop, remember, so he's got all fresh tires. He seems to be on the move. When he made that pit stop, only put 1 tire on. He lost a lot of ground very quickly. Right now, though, he's really on a tear. He's right behind Stefanik, and I think the lap car cost him a spot right there.
So he loses 1 more spot. Now, Larry, we were talking about Leedy racing along and Marquis being able to make the move and keep going. Remember, we're talking about 2 different tire brands there. The number 25 car is on the Hoosiers, and the 36 of Marquis got Goodyear.
Yes, that is a big difference. There's no question about it. The type of tire is going to be a big part of what happens, unless they can get a yellow there somewhere around 240 to 260. Then it'll even things out probably.
Well, that tire battle is also evident up at the front of the pack, because once again there is some serious pressure from Reggie Ruggiero as he is chasing Rick Fuller, and again there we have a Goodyear Hoosier kind of a battle.
That's exactly what we have. You can see right now Connolly really working on Flimke, trying to find a way to get around him. Stefanik leaving both of those guys and not be able to really pull away from either one of them right now. Stefanik not been as dominant as we thought he might be here at this racetrack today.
But you know what, Larry, yesterday they had a press conference here for all the media, and I stopped in for a few minutes, was listening to some of what they said, and Stefanik said, look, as long as you stay on the lead lap and you can make it to lap 250, then you put on those 4 fresh tires, then it's a race. So we'll see if maybe he's just holding back a little.
Well, you know, if that's been his strategy all day long and he didn't care about leading this race, then he's certainly followed his strategy, and everybody's going to be pretty shocked at the end, because these 2 guys that are on your screen right now are the 2 guys that have been the leaders. They've been the fastest cars on the racetrack. With fresh tires, with new tires, with old tires, didn't matter what. They've always been the fastest. But look at this. Stefanik is only in 4th, and he is not very far behind those guys. So maybe he is playing a little bit of cat and mouse.
Well, the top 6 cars in the rundown are how we see them on the racetrack. So everybody here is racing for positions, as Fuller is once again the leader in car number 21, and he is getting some pressure now from Reggie Ruggiero, and we got a good battle there as Flemke races along with Stefanik.
Yes, he's putting a lot of pressure on Stefanik. Connolly right behind him. Stefanik, you know, he looks, he got a little bit of a touch right there from Flimke. Held on, though. Didn't really get either one of them too much out of shape, but you can see, you can tell that race car moved just a little bit, and he got sideways. Now that it looks like they're going to try to go on both sides of Flimke on the outside. Connolly started on the inside, but thought better of it.
I think it was probably a wise choice, as Connolly said, hold up. We'll try it on the outside just like Flimke, and he was able to make it work. So Mike Stefanik losing 2, 3, maybe more positions on the racetrack all in 1 lap there. So I'm not so sure it is a strategy thing for Mike.
Yeah, you know, it seems like on the long runs, he runs good for about 20, 25 laps, and all of a sudden, it seems like the handling just goes away. Tony Hirschman goes by him on the outside. The 5-car Charlie Pasterak, he goes by him on the outside. That's not in Stefanik's plans, believe me.
For a long time, as we looked at the record books in this division, it was all Reggie Ruggiero. But after 8 wins in 1997, Mike Stefanik is catapulted to the top of the heap with 43 career wins and 29 poles. But tonight, it doesn't look like he might be a contender because these two are fighting the battle throughout the race. We've seen both of them going for the lead. Well, is there a problem with the 6-car? Let's find out from Marty.
Yeah, the guys down here are getting ready to change another left front. He has reported in that the left front is bouncing again. That means they've got a problem with potential blistering.
Boy, that's a tough break. They must have a lot of weight on the left front tire. Usually the left front is the tire that gets the least amount of wear. It would be the tire that would run the longest on the racetrack. He has blistered now 2 left front tires, which leads me to believe that he's got a lot of cross weight in that car. A very unusual way, at least to my way of thinking, to set up a race car for this racetrack. It's worked for him here before, though.
We have seen a lot of lap traffic come into play for the passes between the number 21 of Fuller and Ruggiero. They've changed positions a couple of times and had a great battle up here, but I'm being told that Rick Fuller now has lost communication with his spotter, so the radio is not working in car 21, so now it's all in the hands of the driver.
Well, he hasn't lost communications with his rearview mirror, and he knows exactly where Reggie Ruggiero is, and he's running that line that, I don't know exactly what kind of a line you call it, but it's a line that is very, very difficult to pass right now. If you run in the corner right on the bottom of the racetrack, you diamond up in the middle, and look at this, Ruggiero tries to sneak under him right there. If that's the place he can do it, but he just can't quite get up there by the side of him, and Fuller gets a run off the corner down on the bottom. Now that he moves to the outside, he has tried everything to get around Fuller, and Fuller's just been able to hold him off.
Now look at this, the tire is really separating on Mike Stefanik on the front. You can see there where the rubber is just flying off. And in 1997, Mike Stefanik has had only 2 finishes out of the top 6 all year long. Could tonight begin to be the demise of his championship title chase?
Well, he's going to have to wait. He's going to have to depend on another yellow flag. Let's go back down to Marty on an update.
Yeah, you mentioned Rick Fuller's spotter radio problems. Well, it's just the spotter. They have communication from the pit. So his pit boss is literally standing on the war wagon, and he's getting dizzy going round and round, but he's now spotting for him from the infield.
Well, you got to get the job done somehow, and they're doing it, and he's certainly getting the job done as the leader throughout the race. But here goes Ruggiero taking a look to the inside. Can he make the pass? He's awfully low in the corner.
See, Ruggiero had all 4 tires down on the apron of the racetrack, but he's got to get that car up. He's got to get that right front at least up even with Fuller's driver's side. If he can't do that, then Fuller's going to chop him off, and he's got to stay out of Fuller's way. Fuller knows that, and he's done a great job running that race car. He's got an awful wide race car out there right now.
Well, these guys continue to put on a great show in front of a packed house here at Stafford Motor Speedway. We're going to take a break and come back with more of the CarQuest 300 in a moment. Mile Speedway, owned by Jack Arute Sr. Welcome to Northeast Connecticut. This is what they call modified racing, and they're putting on a show tonight, Larry. I'll tell you what, though, Fuller is starting to step away a bit from Ruggiero.
He certainly is. They just put Jan Leedy a lap down. Leedy's been running up amongst the leaders the whole race, but he did not pit the last pit stop, and he has just gone a lap down. Okay, let's go down to Marty Reed with an update.
Well, guys, you were talking about Rick Fuller, and these guys are frantically down here. They took a tire off the left front of the 2 car, which had already dropped out, the sister car, and they are frantically working on getting it ready. He may be reporting in that he's got a problem with the left front, similar to Stefanik.
Well, we talked all throughout the day that most of these drivers were hoping to get to lap 250. We're at 217 and some contact that time by as Connolly came up and hit the rear bumper of Ruggiero.
Tim Connolly has been all over these guys. He's the fastest car on the racetrack right now. Remember that he was the guy that took on all 4 tires during the last pit stop. So everybody else took on 2. Therefore, he's faster than anybody else out there right now. He has a great chance to take over the lead. And he just went around Ruggiero. The problem is, oh, that's Leedy up against the wall.
And the yellow flag is out here at Stafford Motor Speedway. And now we're really in the gambling situation because there's still 80 laps to go in this race. Do you think they'll pit?
Well, you know, this is going to be a tough thing. Oh, there's going to be liquid on the racetrack. You can see the radiator is busted. There's water running down the racetrack. For the Goodyear guys, they don't want to pit now. They wanted to see this thing go another 30 laps before they had to come in. I would be very surprised if you saw some of these guys come in and make the pit stop. The Hoosier guys, they can probably take the chance. I don't know. It's going to be a real strategy thing.
Well, here's a look at what happened to Jan Leedy from our CarQuest in-car camera.
Well, he's definitely having a little problems. He's going down Main Straightaway into turn 1, and it just looks like, looked like he got into something and just headed him out for the wall, and he hit the thing real hard with the right front. Somebody might have been on the inside. Looked like either that or something broke in the front end, because you can see that left front jump way up in the air. So either something broke in the front end, or he tapped somebody down on the inside of the racetrack, or somebody tapped him in the left rear, just sent him straight into the fence.
Well, Jan Leedy comes into the race 6th in points, had led the race tonight here at Stafford, had a pretty good run going on, had a little bit of tire strategy to work out yet, but I don't think he's got to worry about it now.
Okay, let's take a look and listen to this crash this time by.
That's heavy impact.
That was heavy impact, yeah. He ran into that wall very hard. But you can see that either something broke or he had contact with somebody else just before that thing took off to the right, because the left front of that car jumped up in the air, and when it did, that thing just made a right-hand turn, and it hit very hard on that right front corner.
Well, the pits are open right now. We've seen Jan Leedy get out of the car. We know he is okay. The car definitely not okay. But what will happen right now as far as pit strategy? We'll keep our eye on the entrance to pit road. Reggie Ruggiero comes down, takes a look, and the leaders are going to pit. No question about it. And the 21 car does a fake job on the 44. So Fuller stays out on the racetrack, but Ruggiero comes into the pits.
Well, look at this. Ruggiero's in the pits. He's on Hoosiers. Hirschman's in the pits. He's on Hoosiers. The 36 car, he's in the pits because he didn't make a pit stop the last time by, even though he's on Goodyear's. That's Jerry Marquis. So the Hoosier guys think they can make it the rest of the way and still be fast.
So the 44 car is in the pits, and we're going to go back down to Marty Reed.
Yes, while that change is going on, and right now it looks like they're going to make a 4-tire change, and you're right on the Hoosiers. I'm with Jan Leedy. Jan, what happened?
Well, unfortunately, Marty, we were just kind of hanging on out there, waiting for our next set of tires, and really needed a caution badly. And, you know, the Hoosier tire, Adirondack Beverage Pontiac, was working good, but we just needed a break right there. And got into some heavy traffic, got turned around in the wall, so too bad.
You realize you may have given your Hoosier brethren a very big help right there, because 79 laps, everybody says the Hoosiers can go that distance.
Well, I really think they can, and, you know, good luck to Reggie and the boys, because, you know, they're doing a good job out there. So just too bad for the Adirondack Pontiac that our day's over.
Well, if Ruggiero wins this, guys, Jan Leedy better get a share of it.
Well, that's certainly the case here, because the timing does seem right to what they were talking about. Now, here's the cat and mouse game that was going on as Rick Fuller is the leader. He looks like he's going to go down to the inside and go in for a pit stop. And right behind him is Reggie Ruggiero. He pulls up, says, I got to go in if the leader does.
Well, you know, both of those guys looked like they were clear on the pit apron right at the last second. Fuller pulls back out on the racetrack. Connolly never intended to go in there. He never acted like he was going in. Flimke was down there. He went back out on the racetrack. So it was Marquis and Ruggiero who went into the pit area along with Tony Hirschman.
Now, what would happen here, Larry, if we don't see another caution? Those guys are going to be out there with some awfully old tires.
They're going to be pretty sorry. But the Hoosier guys, they know their tires will last 80 laps. The Goodyear guys don't think they will.
So Reggie Ruggiero goes to the pits. The leader continues to be the number 21 of Fuller. The pit strategy still could be a big factor. Don't go away. More racing from Stafford after this. It's Marty Reed. He's been a busy guy down there keeping track of what all kind of tires they've taken, right, Marty?
Yeah, what we were working on was the fact that the Hoosier guys, we thought Ruggiero might take all 4. What they did, that they only took the right front because they had just put the rears on and the left front was showing nowhere. So the team said, hey, let's put 3 in the bank. We're already up front. Let's see what happens. This team may be the team that everybody's going to have to beat before this is over.
He certainly had a kind of car, Larry, that can run to the front just about any time. Green flag is back out this time, and down the front straightaway, Rick Fuller gets a big jump on Tim Connolly.
Yeah, Tim Connolly has had the best race car on the racetrack the last few laps. Ed Flimke running in third place, also running very, very good on the racetrack. But Tim Connolly, he is the guy who took on 4 tires during the last pit stop. Now, that means that he only has 3 for the last stop, while everybody else still has 4, except Reggie Ruggiero now. Now Ruggiero only has 3 as well.
So the 21 car is the leader, and here comes the Tidy Cat car of Connolly, putting some pressure on Fuller down the back straightaway. Flimke is just a couple of car lengths back, and Stefanik still hangs in the balance there, folks. Don't count him out.
Don't count any of those guys out. There's a bunch of guys back there still on the lead lap, still waiting for that last pit stop. But look at Connolly. He's burned out on the apron of the racetrack. Fuller has just been able to pull everything out of his hat to keep those guys behind him. He didn't do anything wrong. He stayed right in the group, and Connolly just could not pull off the pass.
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry, this guy Connolly loves to win on TV. He's got 3 victories this season, and 2 of them have come on TV. One at Watkins Glen and at New Hampshire. So I think when the cameras are on, it gives him a little extra adrenaline.
Well, he's got it figured out that if he's in the lead, he can make it very difficult on everybody to get around him. So I'm sure part of his strategy is to get in the pits and get back out as quick as he can and be in the lead for those last 50 laps and make everybody go around him. Track position is going to be so important here in the last part of this race. If there isn't another yellow flag, man, I don't know, though. Some of these guys aren't going to be able to make it.
Battle for the lead right now as Connolly takes a look on the outside of Fuller off of turn number 4. A little contact there with the left front tire and the rear Nerf bar. Connolly wants the lead very badly. He's going to run it on the outside, and here comes Flimke right along with it.
Flimke is really caught up with these guys as they're racing each other. Right now, it appears that Fuller is the 3rd fastest race car in that group, but he just got such a wide race car, nobody got enough horsepower off the corner to get around him. Look at Connolly, he can drive in so much deeper. That time he really drove her in a ton, and now then it looks like he's going to be able to pull it off. We got somebody, Ruggiero. Ruggiero's way up next to the wall.
So the yellow flag has come out for Reggie Ruggiero, who crashed coming down the front straightaway, but it appears he's able to roll off, and the yellow is out.
Well, you can see him right there. He's turning the steering wheel to see if he made any contact, if it hurt the steering on the race car. But he definitely is going to have to pull into the pits, and that's really, really going to hurt his chances of winning this race. Let's go back and take a look and see if we can see what happened.
Here's Ruggiero coming off of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. Battling down the front straightaway. He gets turned right into the front stretch wall, and the caution comes out immediately right there on the front stretch at lap 233. So once again, strategy is going to come into play, but probably not for Ruggiero.
No, he broke the tie rod. You can see right there. Okay, Marty, tell us what's really going on down there, bud.
Well, I think if you look at the right front tire, it's awfully hard to steer when one's pointing to the right and the other's heading out straight. So unfortunately for Reggie, this strategy that this team had laid out just went into the wall and crushed it. And we're waiting to see when the pits come open, who's going to stop. Because, guys, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send it back to you because I'm going to head back down to Rick Fuller because it looks like they are going to roll the dice a little early. Remember, they wanted at lap 250 for the Goodyear guys. We're at lap 234.
Well, Mario Fiore is the owner of that car, and let me tell you what, he is one of the very successful car owners in this division, and since he and Reggie Ruggiero have gotten back together this season, they have had a dominant car. 2 wins, and he had a strong one again here tonight.
What happened was Ruggiero was on the inside. He didn't think Marquis was going to be that strong coming down the outside of him. He just moved up a little bit. He touched Marquis' left front. Marquis got on the brakes, tried to get out of it, but the contact was already made. It just turned Ruggiero's right front right into the wall, and it tore that right front suspension up. They're down there trying to repair it, but it does away with any chance he has of winning this race.
Well, we thought Reggie's car would be strong tonight, and we know that the 21 car is strong. And another fake job there as Connolly stays out on the racetrack, and Fuller will go to the pits along with Flimke and the 5 of Pasteryak. So as they head down pit road right now, the leader is in. The Polar Beverages number 21 will come to the attention of Marty Reed.
Well, and this is going to be interesting. We're at lap, like we said, we're looking on lap 235, and here comes Rick Fuller. They're going to go to work, and it looks like they will do a complete 4-tire change. So that's a little bit longer. So we've also got the 11 car in here at the same time with Eddie Flemke, and they'll be working on their right side rubber right now. Already done and moving around to jack up the left side on the 21. So definitely this is the last stop that this 21 car is going to take. Remember, that means they're pushing the envelope. The Goodyear's best one goes about 50 laps. Now, 3 tires for Flemke, and he's back underway, and they're still working on the 21, so he's not going to have the lead when he goes back out.
Well, that was an extra long pit stop for Fuller. He just took a lot longer in there than they really wanted. They had some trouble with those left side tires. The right sides were changed pretty quick, but that gave Flemke the chance to get out in front of him. So it'll be interesting to see. He did that pit stop this early so he could have track position, but because of some kind of a miscommunication or whatever happened on that left side, he did not get out there as quickly as he wanted.
So the pit stops have happened once again here, and the strategies continue, and here's exactly what happened. Down to the inside, Reggie Ruggiero in the Golf number 45. You're right, Larry, he just didn't know that Marquis was coming up that strong.
No, he just moved up there just a little bit, just barely made contact. Marquis did a great job trying to get out of the way once they made contact, but it was too late for Ruggiero. As that thing just turned to the right, he banged into the wall once, then went up and hit it again, and it really did his day in. Tough break for Reggie Ruggiero.
Well, we're going to take a break so that we can bring you the rest of the green flag racing of the CarQuest 300. Back with more racing from an excited crowd at Stafford Motor Speedway. Key is the leader.
He certainly is. Let's take a look at how. This is on the restart when Tim Connolly is bringing him down to the lead. Marquis just got on the throttle, had a great restart going down in through turns 1 and 2. Connolly seemed to have the fastest race car, but he just got in there and got way high, and Marquis just took advantage of it. He went right to the bottom of him, and ever since he's been in front, he has slowly but surely pulled out into several car lengths lead over Connolly.
So Jerry Marquis is the leader, and yes, folks, he was involved with that crash when the 44 car of Reggie Ruggiero crashed down in turn number 1, but he stayed on the lead lap, and he did not go into the pits. That's why he was lined up behind Connolly. So he passed Connolly for the lead, and now Tony Hirschman has passed Connolly for second. Right there's Tim Connolly's Tidy Cat number 4. He is currently running in 3rd place, and the zero of Ed Kennedy is on his way to the pits.
He's been smoking for the last several laps. Lots of smoke coming out of that thing. Thought he might be throwing oil out there. Didn't see any indication from anybody else, but finally she must have given up. He had to pull in the pit.
Tough break for Kennedy as he goes to the pits. Now Marquis' car has not been a big factor in the first 200 laps of this race, but that doesn't matter because you only need to lead whenever the checkered flag falls. But the question is, what about Hirschman? He got 4 tires on that pit stop.
Well, he has got all 4 brand new tires on there. The question is, can he run the last 70 or 80 laps, 75 laps, I think it was 235 when they came in, on those tires and still be as fast? But right now, I think it's really been good strategy. We have not seen a lot from Marquis. We haven't talked about him a whole lot, but he's hung around in that top 5, top 10 all day long. Hasn't been out there battling for the lead, but when it comes down to crunch time with 40 laps to go, he's where he wants to be.
Well, the 21 and the 5 are having a good battle back there as Jeff Fuller is racing along with Charlie Pasteryak, and those guys are battling for position back in about 7th place, and they have been side by side for quite a few laps, and now Fuller gets the advantage.
Yeah, and Rick Fuller, I don't think after that last pit stop, I don't think he got the set of tires that he really wanted, because he doesn't appear to be as fast now as he was all race long.
Well, a really good run for Pasteryak. We haven't talked about him too much. He's still 7th in the points here, so that's a great run for him. Finished 2nd here back in the 150 race in the spring.
Yeah, he's had a lot of some pretty good luck. Right now, though, he's having a good run. Rick Fuller, though, he's struggling a little bit more right now than we thought he might be at this point in the race. There's a guy that's not struggling, though, and that's Marquis. He did not pit on that last pit stop, so he's got several laps on those tires. There's Flemke and Ruggiero. Ruggiero's gotten repaired. He's back on the racetrack, but he lost at least 2 laps, maybe 3 under that pit stop, so he's not going to be a factor to win this race unless a miracle happens.
Surprises me, Larry, with that kind of contact going down the front straightaway. They were even able to repair that car, so hats off to the 44 team for getting him back out on the racetrack.
Yes, he is 2 laps down, we're being told right now. So he is a couple laps down. He's working very hard to get back up there and get at least one of those laps back, as he just went around Flimke. But with only about 35 laps to go, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to be in contention coming into the race.
So the 11 car of Eddie Flimke is currently running in 5th position on the racetrack. Your leader is Jerry Marquis. And folks, I'll tell you what, in 1997, we have not seen him run a lot of Featherlight modified tour races. As a matter of fact, this is only his 10th start of the season. That's because he's been concentrating on his Busch Grand National North Series ride, and that's where that other battle with Stefanik's going on. 61 points separate Marquis and Stefanik, and there's only 1 race remaining.
Well, you can see that Stefanik is in his sights right now, so he would love to go up there and put a lap on Stefanik right now and make sure that Stefanik is not going to be a contender come the end of this race. Stefanik wins the first 3 races of the year and the biggest, most important, biggest paying purse. This is a $90,000 purse for this race, the one he really would like to win best. It doesn't look like he's going to be a contender come the end of the race either.
And boy, that's got to be a great feeling for Jerry Marquis to say, I went up and passed Mike Stefanik at Stafford Motor Speedway. Whether he makes the win or not, he's got that on his side.
Not very many guys have been able to say that this year either, let me tell you.
That's for sure. So Mike Stefanik in the 6 car is in danger of going a lap down. Now Marquis has got it all together, right, Marty?
Well, he certainly does. They still have 2 tires in reserve, but I asked him, I said, if he has to, can he go the distance? They said, oh, we're going to spin right out of turn 4. This may be the yellow that all the Goodyear guys needed because we are at lap 269.
And Mike Stefanik will lose a lap at the start-finish line as Tim Airy in the 00 car, the Sitco-sponsored car, is the car that made that spin and pulled the yellow. Lap 270 just clicked off, and I am positive that Stefanik lost a lap there. What an unbelievably tough break for the driver who has been so dominant here at Stafford.
You could tell that both of those guys were trying to beat the other to the yellow flag, and I agree with you. I think Stefanik lost the battle, and looked to me like Marquis beat him to the line, so Stefanik will lose a lap.
And the way it looks right now, Stefanik will stay in the lead lap because the pace car is going to pick up Marquis, and they have let the 6 car go by, so maybe a different line that they judged that race down to the checkers for. So Stefanik is going to get a big break here to stay on the lead lap in the Burnham Boilers number 6.
Yes, meanwhile, it'll be interesting to see now how many guys with only 29 laps to go will come into the pit area. You know, right now, I mean, if I were in Marquis' position, I'm not sure. I'm still the fastest guy on the racetrack. Tony Hirschman's running in 2nd. He's already been in. He's pretty much made it known that he's not going to make a pit stop. Now, Connolly has pulled up next to him. That's a pretty good indication that Connolly is going to come in, get 4 new tires. He does have at least 3 tires left in the pit area, so he's going to go in and get them, try to move back up to the front. Do you give up that track position, though? It doesn't appear.
Well, Marquis is going to stay on the racetrack, no doubt about it, because at this point of the race, track position becomes so important. We see Hirschman also stays out there, but the 4 car of Connolly is going to come in and pit. And, you know, we talked about this at the top of the show. All of these strategies and all these games that the guys play, and they got to watch what the other teams do. They got to know how many tires they have left, and it's going to come down now to less than 30 laps on this shootout. The number 6 car has gone to the pit, Stefanik also, so the 4 and the 6 going in with fresh tires. They're going to come back out, and we are going to have one heck of a battle.
Yes, we are, but it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know whether with only 28 laps or so left, it'll be 27 when the green flag falls the next time around, whether that's enough for those guys to come all the way back up through this pack and win this race. It looks to me like the 36 car has done a good job of using good strategy. Marquis is in the driver's seat right now. He's in the lead. Tony Hirschman, he's got the newest tires of anybody out there. He put on 4 the last time. Marty, you got any other information for us?
Well, Stefanik's team has just got to be breathing a big sigh of relief as they've made it before they went a lap down. And Connolly goes back out, so everybody's got their fresh rubber now. But you're right, we've got less, well, what is it, about 28 laps, 27 laps to go?
And the green flag is already back out, so Connolly is almost 3/4 of a lap down as he was just pulling onto the back straightaway. Now then the real battle is going to be between Marquis and Tony Hirschman. Hirschman has the newest tires of anybody on the racetrack that did not stop that time.
So those drivers that were in the pits may have been caught sleeping a little bit there as they got their tires changed, may not have been aware that we were going back to green flag racing, and the number 36 car of Marquis got a fabulous restart, but here comes Hirschman.
Hirschman really, we're taking a look at Stefanik, and Stefanik still doesn't appear to be working all that well. Ruggiero's all over him. Tony Hirschman all over the rear bumper. He's got a mirror full. Marquis got a mirror full of Hirschman, so let's see if he can hang on and keep him behind him. So far, he has been able to do that, but you can tell that his tires are not working quite as good. He's running that Rick Fuller line, turn out at the bottom, up a little bit in the middle, and then back down to the bottom. Can he hold him off?
Well, that will be the question. Hirschman has got a strong race car. He's the 1995 and 96 Featherlight Modified Tour champion. 1991 Busch North Rookie of the Year. He's got a lot of accolades to his name, but again, this has not been their best season for he and Len Bowler. Big win here in the final event of 1997 at Stafford would be a nice trophy to put in his feather.
Now, guys, you were talking about the tire situation. Remember, it was Hirschman that took 4 tires during the last time he stopped, and Marquis only had 2. And that's the gamble. Do you give up track position, or do you take those fresh tires?
Well, obviously, neither one of those guys elected to give up track position, and I'd have to agree with them. This is track position is going to be very important, and they're staying right up front right now.
278 laps down here at Stafford Motor Speedway. A good battle for the lead as Jerry Marquis and Tony Hirschman continue to battle. We'll have more racing from the CarQuest 300 when we come back. Great battle for the lead in the CarQuest 300 at Stafford Motor Speedway in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Jerry Marquis is the leader, but Tony Hirschman is putting pressure all over him. In 1997, Tony Hirschman has not won a race. 96 he won 3, 95 he won 1, and way back in 1989 he won 6 races, so this guy's hungry, Larry.
Yes, and this looks exactly like what we've been seeing here all night long. The white car on Goodyear's leading the blue car on Hoosiers, except it's 2 different drivers now. It's Marquis leading Hirschman instead of Fuller leading. Oh, look at this. Stefanik has spun. He's up against the wall down there. This will bring out another yellow flag.
So the yellow comes out as Mike Stefanik spins the number 6 Burnham Boilers car over in turn number 4. And it looks like he has a flat left rear tire.
Yeah, so flat left rear tire. He must have popped the tire getting in there, which caused him to spin. And that'll bring out another yellow flag. He's going to have to go in and get that changed.
You see some sparks coming off of the left rear there, so that tire completely flat on the rim. Good shot of it there. As you're right, Stefanik will go to the pits, and once again the yellow comes out, but now track position is even more important because we're at lap 283.
Well, and those guys cannot afford to go in. Right now, Marquis is in the lead. You can't give up the lead with that few laps left. Hirschman, he can't afford to go in the pit area either because he's running in second and seems to be a little bit faster than Marquis. Right now, Flimke is running in 3rd position. He's in the same scenario. So all those guys who are running up front cannot afford to give it up. If you're some of the guys farther in the back, except Connolly, he already has gone in and made a pit stop, so I don't think he's got any tires left. So he's just going to have to go out there and do the best he can.
3 wins in 1997 at this particular racetrack for Mike Stefanik. So I think you would chalk that up as a pretty good season, but he really felt like he could be a contender today, and he's out of it.
Yes. The 31 car, that's Ferrani. He's been running up at top. He's been running in the first 4, and he is going to go in and make a pit stop. That's, I'm a little bit surprised. He must have a tire that's in very, very bad condition. He's running in 6th place when this question came out.
But here's the thing to remember, Larry. With inside the 25 laps to go, after we reach the 275 lap mark, they will restart with only the lead lap cars at the front of the field. So there's only 6 or 7 cars going to be up there, so it'd be a good time for a pit stop. Mike Stefanik is in and Marty Reed is there.
Yeah, this is disappointment for this team because they were making up some time after they had made the last pit stop. Maybe not enough to have gotten them to the front of this field, although now if somebody else brought out the yellow, that would have tightened the pack up. This is really going to be interesting to watch these cars that had the late tire changes to see just how good that they can make their way or claw their way to the front.
Well, staying on the lead lap is so important here in a track position race of this kind at Stafford Motor Speedway. You're watching the CarQuest 300 We've reached lap 285. Jerry Marquis is the leader. Can he hold on? Well, we'll find out when we come back to Stafford. Pit so graciously for us tonight here, and we are going to see a shootout. Lap 286 ready to go back to green, and all of those lead lap cars are single file at the front of the field. The green flag comes back out from our starter, Billy Ryder, and we're underway.
You can see the first 7 cars are on the lead lap. They're all nose to tail. The first 6 of them took off great. Peroni fell back a little bit. Right now, Fuller is running in 4th spot, and he has clawed his way back up. Connolly back there. There's Flimke running in 3rd. Hirschman running 2nd. All knocking on the door. Marquis telling him, get out of our way. We went through here.
And Larry, all 3 of those cars you see on your screen have not won in 1997. The 21 car has won, but the front 3 of them need a victory so badly.
And Tim Connolly's moved into 5th place now. He put on new tires. He's got the freshest tires of anybody in that top 5. All 5 of them running nose. Look at Connolly. He's going to go to the inside now. He's going to move Fuller over and take that spot. It looks like his strategy is staying out on that one time might pay off, as he looks to be faster than anybody else.
He makes the pass now on Rick Fuller down the back straightaway. He will take over 4th spot, at least for the time being. Next target is Eddie Flimke in car number 11. 10 laps to go. Jerry Marquis out front of this field in car number 36. Now, Jerry Marquis has won before, but the 36 car has never won. Ben Dodge, the owner of that team, has got to have all his fingers crossed.
He's got them all crossed. So far, Marquis has just done a terrific job, just like Rick Fuller did earlier. Oh, right there, Connolly got into Flimke just a little bit, caused him to wiggle. He moved him over. He moved him over pretty good that time. Remember last year, he was on the receiving end of a little bump like that. This time, it looks like he's ready to give it back. Now Fuller's inside of Flimke.
2 by 2 coming for a battle for the 4th as the 21 car rubs tires, and we've got a yellow flag as the car spins coming off of turn 4, and we are inside 8 laps to go.
It's hard to believe that you can run 300 laps and still have guys banging and knocking onto each other, and 5 of them that close together. And look at that, the 47 car has just got the left rear. That's Jack Bateman. The left rear looks like the wheel broke it, as the center of the wheel still on the hub, but none of the rest of the wheel is completely gone.
Well, we are under the 12th caution here at Stafford Motor Speedway, and it is going to be a battle royale. We will bring you the closing laps of the CarQuest 300 when we come back here. More exciting modified racing after this. And when we get the green flag this time by, it'll be 5 laps to go to see who is going to have the victory in the CarQuest 300.
Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of a fire down there in Sal Marcello's car, but that's not the worry. These guys on the racetrack, as the green flag is back out, and Marquis got a terrific start on everybody, and with only 5 laps to go, that could be make a big difference to get that big a jump.
Down the back straightaway goes Marquis, the number 3 car, and then it's Tim Connolly. His tires, are fresher than everybody out there, but catching them is one thing, passing them's another.
And oh, look at this, he's clear down on the inside, and he and Hirschman banging wheels. Fuller comes through, and I tell you what, Hirschman right now is not very happy, but Connolly last year, that move was put on him, then he lost the race. Now then he's going to use it again. He's going to go down on that apron. He's going to move you over if he has to. The trouble is, he's only got 3 laps left to do it.
Tiger Tom Baldwin made that move last year and won the race here in the fall finale. Can it work for number 4? We'll find out. Just a few laps remaining, and don't count out Rick Fuller.
Rick Fuller is very close. Marquis right now, though, has been able to stay far enough in front of him that they haven't been able to do it. 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go this time as Tim Connolly takes a look. Which direction does he go on Marquis? To the high side or the low side? Jerry Marquis won the Busch Grand National race back in June here, but he's under heavy pressure from Tim Connolly. Down the front straightaway, the Tidy Cat car will take the lead with the white flag out.
Well, now then, let's see what Marquis does. Tim Connolly is around him. He's going to have to try to get back down the inside. Remember, this is the last lap. They're heading for turn 3. Is he going to drive it down on the apron and see what happens?
Endicott, New York is the hometown of Tim Connolly. Bob Garabino is the crew chief and the owner. Down the front straightaway, they will take the win, and congratulations to the Tidy Cat crew.
Well, strategy paid off. Remember, everybody thought they were nuts. They stayed on the racetrack. They lost all kinds of track position. So they thought, oh, they're pointing their fingers. I'm not sure whether they're happy or mad at each other. It was a great race. So Connolly he played the strategy game to the nth degree. He took a bigger chance than anybody on the racetrack, and it paid off.
This is the kind of action we see each and every time when the Featherlight Modified Tour goes on to a short track race. Unbelievable finish here. The CarQuest 300 goes to Tim Connolly in the number 4 Tidy Cat car, and we'll talk to him when we come back to Stafford Motor Speedway. Don't go away.
Climbing out of the cockpit of this race car after 300 laps. The crowd is saluting. And I think it's safe to say that Tim Connolly's just a little bit happy. Hey, the trophy presentation, he is gulping the bottle of milk. I want to know how lucky you felt when you were just about to go a lap down and that yellow came out, because that really was the turning point for you, wasn't it?
Well, we knew it was going to be close. It was by plan. That was our game plan all day. We knew it was going to come down to crunch time, but that was our game plan last year. We got beat by it, and we were going to let it happen again this year. Really proud of the team. We're all some pretty Tidy Cat, good year. Had these cruises tonight, what a great time, you know? Had these boys out here and girls and helping support us, and just everybody's been fantastic. What a great race.
We're going to show the lead pass. Take us through it.
Well, you know, we had fresh tires on. Game plan went well. But these guys are tough. You know, Jerry Marquis and Ricky Fuller and all those guys, they're going to run you tough, they run you clean, and you do what you got to do, you know. It's crunch time at this place, so it's got our own little Busch class with 25 laps to go.
Tim Connolly gave us a great ride with the onboard cameras and the winner of the CarQuest 300. Congratulations.
Thanks, Marty. I'd like to say hi to my sons, Tommy, John, and Jane back home, and wife, Cheryl. Thank you.
Well, great victory for Tim Connolly down there as he gets the accolades of winning here at Stafford Motor Speedway. And it'll be interesting when we look at the points at the end of the night tonight, because Connolly was just 236 points back of the leader, and that will really help him.
Yes, we can take a look. Jerry Marquis finished second. Rick Fuller came home in third. Tony Hirschman brought his Hoosier shot car home in fourth. And Eddie Flimke, all those guys on the same lap. Charlie Pasterak, he was on the lead lap. Tony Ferrani, he was on the lead lap. Runners 8 through 10 were all a lap down. Tom Cravino, Mike Stefanik, and Bill Woods.
So Stefanik won't have a bad finish, but he didn't have the one he was looking for. The 4th win of 1997.